Hi guys, welcome back to the channel Giving It All Away. I'm Rick Gregson and well, I'm giving it all away. It's been an interesting week so far, right? We've had the mask repeal for public transportation. Don't know where you fall with that. Then we've got Governor DeSantis versus Mickey Mouse. We all saw that one coming. You know, other than what's happening in the world, our topics are generally life experience, life hacks, entrepreneurship, and wealth building. As always, topics are near and dear to my heart, and I hope you find these videos useful or at least entertaining. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and also hit the notify button to be notified as we release new content. That being said, let's get into it. Today's topic in particular is Bitcoin a good hedge against inflation, and how the Russia-Ukraine war is affecting the crypto markets. So common questions could be, how does Bitcoin weather in comparison to the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, Nasdaq as a whole, and maybe a commodity like gold? These concerns are relevant to today's economic conditions, not only here in the US, but abroad. I've done some digging, did some Excel work, and this is what I've discovered. As you can see on the graph, I've laid out the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, Nasdaq, gold, and Bitcoin. I've graphed them from May of 2021 through April of 2022. In graph 2, I show the monthly performance of those assets versus the inflation rate. So let's talk about how I chose to do my analysis. I started by comparing the 12-month performance of several common indicators across the stock market. These would include the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq market itself overall, and then I added one traditional commodity, which was gold, and I added Bitcoin as the chosen cryptocurrency for three main reasons. One, Bitcoin has the broadest adoption and acceptance. It's also got the largest market capitalization of any cryptocurrency, and there's a finite availability tied to Bitcoin, meaning about 19 million of 21 million have been mined, and the closer it gets to that 21 million, the more of a resource limited asset it becomes. So that's kind of where I think it looks quite a bit like a traditional commodity in that sense. There's only so much gold on the planet, right? So similar to Bitcoin, there's only going to be so many Bitcoins ever mined. So let's review the data. Reviewing the data on graph 1, except for Bitcoin, the lines all look pretty flat. In effect, a dollar invested in May of 2021 may still be worth $1 today. That's no bueno, my friends. So considering inflation has increased by 3.5%, your investments are not keeping pace. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and Nasdaq overall lost value, while the S&P 500 and gold showed mild gains. So while all of this is going on, Bitcoin is doing its crazy bobble, the Bitcoin bobble. It ends with an overall gain through the period. Why does Bitcoin bobble? Well, it's got a lot to do with market sentiment as well as conditions. And there were some specific triggers in 2021. Elon Musk. He is very influential. When he tweets, people react. I don't even want to say respond. I'm going to say react. And that isn't a good thing. Responding is a good thing. There's some thought behind it. React is more of a knee-jerk thing. So, take that as you will. China in September banned cryptocurrency, which caused a sell-off at that point, some exodus. Also, though, in late 2021, El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as its legal currency. And of course, all throughout 2021, over the past few years, there have been changes and speculation coming around crypto legislation regulations. So that, that's what causes Bitcoin to be so erratic. I personally feel like scarcity may become an influence too, as we're nearing the cap on the mining, the 21 million. So I don't know, we'll see how that plays out. I think as we get closer to the point of scarcity, you're gonna see the value increase even more. Again, not a financial advisor, not tied to any markets except by role of being an individual investor. Any monies invested in any market are always at risk. That being said, is Bitcoin a good hedge against inflation? So looking at the analysis one slide, what I was trying to quantify was of the things which showed a profit, which benchmark showed the best. So what I did is I found the difference from the start date to the end date of the values for those assets. And if they were negative, I just discarded them because they lost money. I took them out of the race. If they had a gain, I went ahead and I brought that down to a percentage gain. So I took the gain and I divided it by the base start price. And that's what I'm using to determine how much of a gain there was over the initial cost. And what I found was Bitcoin grew by 7.05% during that period of time. And the S&P 500 and gold also rose by 4.82% and 4.49% respectively. So when you compare that to inflation increasing by 3.5%, while gold and the S&P 500 did outperform the inflation, Bitcoin was able to outpace it by a factor of 2. It doubled over the inflation number. So while none of these are just amazing investments, there was performance there. Also, for my own curiosity, I added Oxford Lane Capital, which is the stock that I own, into evaluation because I wanted to know how is it performing against everything overall as well. That's something I don't do nearly enough is watch the performance of the things that I invest in. I'm kind of a lazy investor, and it's not ideal. So there was no distinguishable gain. It started at $6.95, it ended at $6.95, but Oxford Lane Capital pays about 7 cents a month per share in dividends. Those 7 cents a month over 12 months, that's 84 cents. So you take the 84 cents, because that's effectively a gain, you divide it by the base price, $6.95 a share, and that gives you about 12%. So that definitely outperformed the 3.5% inflation rate. And that's why I'm a huge fan of Oxford Lane stock. So right now, everything kind of leaves me feeling pretty good about my choices in life so far. Again, I'm not heavily diversified in stocks, but Oxford Lane Capital is my one pony. Pause for a second and just ask, are you finding the video informative? Is this shedding some new light on the cryptocurrency space for you? Please be sure to comment below and like the video, and let's get a conversation going. All of the markets show some impact when sovereign countries go to war, humanitarian crises arise, or a global pandemic comes to pass. So all markets fluctuate, right? All have risk. All are driven by sentiment and global circumstance. And it's not just supply and demand. In this influencer economy, which is kind of a newer thing, right? Expect more volatility in every asset, simply due to change in sentiment. Again, somebody tweets something out and you never know what direction things are going to go in. I guess it keeps things interesting. I don't know. To beat the big guys, hedge your investments as best you can, right? Diversify your holdings across markets. If you're here to ride the crypto waves, that's a fine strategy too. Crypto blazes through peaks and valleys. It's a wild ride. So in closing, is Bitcoin a safe haven? Well, here's my beliefs. Everyone should jump on board with crypto before government regulations and institutional investors ruin it for the small investor. I believe Bitcoin is likely to outperform than other digital assets. Not sure about NFTs yet though. My logic is because it's a supply capped asset. In my estimation, I've said this before, I see Bitcoin as a commodity. Now, some experts disagree. Many view it as what's termed a risk-on asset, claiming that it moves more with the stock market. I see it moving more erratically than that, but I wonder if it's going to settle in more over time. I think what we're seeing is just kind of a dialing in and a growing phase. People are still figuring out about cryptocurrency, right? It's out there. It's been out there for a while, but it's not as mainstream as it could be, especially here in the US. So while Bitcoin doesn't have the history that gold does, it's certainly shown some staying power so far. Personally, I think it's too early to call, but I do believe that cryptocurrencies as well as other digital assets, again, like NFTs, should be a part of everyone's portfolio. Crypto is too big to ignore. So we'd like to know, have you gained any insight into the utility of cryptocurrencies or other digital assets? What's caught your attention right now in the space? We're curious about that as well. Please feel welcome to connect with us here on YouTube. We also publish out on Medium, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and we'd like to grow the tribe. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk again soon.